Hi everyone, this is Annindita Palaus, and I have decided to make a series of videos on the human illusions that we are constantly buying into and living our lives by. And so this video is about one of the primary human illusions that we have all chosen to believe into, and that is the illusion of survival. We also call it by survival of the fittest, the famous Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. So the intention behind today's video is really to challenge or question this old school thought of survival of the fittest. Is survival really our primary instinct? And is it really beneficial? Is it really helpful in the modern world, in the 21st century? And also, even more importantly, is it sufficient? Is survival enough? These are the questions that I seek to dive into in today's video. Now, before you start arguing with me that yes, safety, survival, and security, these are our basic human needs, they are extremely important to our life and our well-being. And definitely, I am not challenging that. I definitely believe that if you are not alive, of course, you cannot do anything else in life. You definitely need to survive. In my experience, what I have come to believe, and this is just my personal experience, and maybe your experience is different, but in my experience, what I have really noticed is that survival is not really our primary instinct. Even though we have been made to believe that survival is our dominant guiding force in life, it is our animal instinct that guides us towards our safety, security, and survival. And the reason I say this, that I have come to believe that survival might not be our primary instinct, I can just give a simple little example. For instance, imagine you're walking down the road and all of a sudden you see a little child just playing with his or her ball, and the ball just, falls on the road, and the child just goes to grab the ball. And then you see from the corner of your eyes that there is a car coming at a very high speed, just around the corner, right towards the child. And in that moment, you don't have much time to think and ponder about your own survival, about the child's safety. What would be your first reaction? I'm pretty sure that in 9 out of 10 cases, in fact, maybe even in 10 out of 10 cases, you're going to say that you will run towards the child to save the child from the car that is coming at a high speed with no regard for your own safety, even though you know pretty well that you might very well get injured in that process. And so that just drives home the point that if survival would be really our primary instinct, then when we see something like that happening to somebody, even if that is not our own child, even if it is somebody else's child, even if it's not a child, maybe it's a person, maybe a complete stranger, you don't even know that person. Even then, for most people, their instinct will be to rush to save that person. In fact, every single year there are numerous cases of people who, with complete disregard to their own safety, do something really heroic to save somebody else's life. So if survival would be really our primary instinct, these heroic deeds would never have been done. Now you might be thinking that yes, but those are just one-off cases. They are extremely courageous people, they're extremely brave, and not everybody is like them. Those are just special people. They just are more courageous than the average person. But that is not true, because when I just asked you about the question about a random child playing on the road and you see a high-speed car coming, what would be your very first thought? Your very first thought before your logical mind kicks in, before your rational mind or your personal mind kicks in and tells you, hey, wait, don't go after the child because you can get injured, you can get killed. Before your logical mind kicks in, the very first instinct will be your instinct to save that child. Even if it is not your own child, even if you don't know that child at all. Maybe it's a complete stranger's child. You don't know that. And that just goes to prove that our very first instinct, before our personal mind kicks in, is not survival, but it's serving. It's serving others' interests before ours. That is our very first instinct, governed by our higher minds. Survival kicks in when you have the time to think about your reaction, and then your logical mind or your personal mind sets in and it starts explaining, hey, but don't do this. If you do this, then this can happen to you. This is not even your child. You don't even know this person. It's a complete stranger. Why should you risk your life for this person? That happens. That is an afterthought. That is when you have the time to think and react about what you should be doing. So it is really my belief that survival was probably never our primary instinct. Instead, our primary instinct has always been to be of service to others. So, am I saying that you should not look out for yourself and not care about your own well being, your safety, security, and survival? Well, not necessarily. But what I am saying is that what if survival is not enough? What if survival is not sufficient? What if there is more to life than just living at the basic level of survival? What if life is about thriving, not just surviving? And even more importantly, what if our survival instincts are failing us in the modern 21st century? And what if what worked for our ancestors in the days of cavemen and women does not work in our modern life anymore, in our modern evolved society anymore? Take, for example, the Great Recession, when the crashing stock markets worldwide and the decimating retirement funds triggered the fear, fight, and flight response in people around the world. And triggered by this basic survival instinct of fear, fight, and flight, they decided to liquidate their investment portfolios. And now I'm not a financial expert, but based on what I've heard from many people who are financial experts, apparently it was one of the worst decisions for most people to liquidate their investment portfolios. So seems like their fear, fight, and flight response didn't really lead them towards an action that was beneficial for them. I'm sure you must have come across, maybe in your own personal life, or maybe you have seen someone else react to a situation in their life triggered by fear, fight, and flight so much that they made hasty, incorrect decisions, which they ended up regretting later on in life. So, what if living life by the old school maxim of survival of the fittest does not work for us in this modern world anymore? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. So, now that we have seen that survival of the fittest, or being governed by your survival instincts, might not be the best way to live your life in this complex modern world, what are we supposed to do when we are faced with a situation where our survival instincts are triggered, where our fear, fight, and flight mode is triggered? So here are a few simple suggestions that I would like you to keep in mind next time you notice your survival instinct getting triggered. Because the fact is that back in the olden times, when we were cavemen and women, survival was a real issue. There was a real threat to our lives. But right now, in this modern day and age, survival is not really an issue. But our primal brains sometimes get triggered by that old school response, even when your life is not really in danger. For instance, it is said that the fear of public speaking is one of the biggest fears that people face in their lives. And some people fear public speaking even more than they fear death. Isn't that crazy? And your life definitely is not at threat when you're speaking to a group of people. So what to do next time when your survival instincts or your fear, fight, and flight mode gets triggered by something that doesn't really has your life at stake? So here are a few simple things you can do. First of all, take a deep breath and just relax. Relax your jaw, your neck, your chest, your shoulders, your belly. Just relax your whole body. And notice the fear, fight, and flight response being triggered and acknowledge it. Don't try to push it away. Mentally tell yourself that I am okay and everything is okay. And consciously decide, make a choice to let go of this fear, fight, and flight response, to let go of this need for survival. Just these 4 steps, I believe, can make a huge difference in the way you start responding to your life, start responding to the everyday challenges of modern life, where fear, fight, and flight response might not be the best way to handle your modern day situations and challenges. So if you found this video useful, then like it, leave your comments below, and consider subscribing to this channel and sharing the video with your friends and family who might also find it helpful. Also, if Reiki, mindful living, and self-healing is something that you are interested in, then I highly encourage you to go check out my link below the video for my Reiki Complete Healing Program. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. I'll talk to you soon.